Shalom. Shalom, Yasharallah. First and foremost, I want to start by giving all praises, honors, and glories to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rechakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching 100% truth. Wa Barakatham to the 144,000, as well as the rest of the elect. May peace and blessings be unto your households. All right, and it's your brother Gadal from the Great Millstone Dallas branch. And in this quick lesson, I'm just going to get into, man, there's a time and a place for everything, man, right? And we're going to get into the Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, right? And we're going to look at, literally, the title says, a time for everything, right? So, for one, you have to understand, what times are we living in, right? Is now the best time to be trying to get yourself established here, you know, moving as if you got 1,000+ years? Nah, that's not the time for that. Or is it time for you to, you know, lock in more than ever? You know, you got to be spiritual in order to discern these things, because only someone that's not spiritual is going to tell you, oh yeah, we got 30+ years here, knowing the condition this economy is in, right? Only a fool would tell you that, right? Because clearly they're not watching prophecy. All right, matter of fact, discern. Dang it. Oh, yeah, here it goes. It's Matthew chapter 16. Oh, my bad. Let me type it in real quick. Oh, yeah, Matthew chapter 16, verse 3 says, and in the morning it will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and lowering. O ye hypocrites, ye can discern the face of the sky, right? But can ye not discern the signs of the times, right? You can discern what the weather's going to be like, right? You see it's cloudy outside, you start seeing them gray clouds. All right, you might like, yeah, it might rain today, right? You know, you see it's sunny outside, it might be pretty hot out there, you know? So you could discern the face of the sky, but can you not discern the times, the signs of the times, and aka the times that you're living in? We're living in times to where, man, Yahushua is going to come back soon. We're living in times to where each day we're getting closer and closer to ultimately the end of Esau's rulership, right? And only a spiritual man is going to be able to see these things, right? That's why it's important to be careful who you're watching, because these other camps, they're not concerned about prophecy, right? They're just trying to get a bag, right? They worried about how they look. They worried about how many girls, how many members they could get so they could get more money and screw you over, right? But I'm going to go ahead and get to this Ecclesiastes. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 3. And as the title says, I've said it before, a time for everything, right? It is a time for everything. And right now, if you don't know already, we're in the times to be, you know, ultimately just biting down, right? Taking what we got to take, enduring what we got to endure, and serve Yahweh Shem Shah to the best of our ability. Of course, you have liberty here. You know, there ain't nothing wrong with having a little good time, but we're not really in that spirit of just doing that only. You know, I'm going to go ahead and get Ecclesiastes chapter 3. Verse 1 says, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace. A time to refrain from embracing. A time to get and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to cast away. Right? So, you know, it's a matter of fact, we go ahead and read that too. A time to rend and a time to sow. It says a time to keep silence and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time of war and a time of peace. Right? So you gotta understand, okay, with it, just reading that whole list, because I read from 1 all the way down to 8. Right? You understand there's a time for everything. right? There's a time to, party and all that, but you have to understand, are we in them times? If you've been keeping up with prophecy, man, nah, we're really not. Are we in a time to be embracing? No, we're in a time to be refrain from embracing. Are we in a time of peace? No, we're in a time of war, right? And just because it didn't happen yet doesn't mean it's not in a process of happening, but you have to be watching to see. That's why the Lord, he have set up watchmen to warn you these things, man, right? Looking at news, then brother making a lesson on it. Oh yeah, this is what's in the news, man. They're gonna tie this to that to that. Brothers be getting down with that, just is like, hey, there's a time for everything, so you must understand what times are we living in and move accordingly, right? Let me go ahead and get that 2 Peter's. This is 2 Peter chapter 3 and 3 and 11. It says, seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of person ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness, looking for and hastening until the coming of the day of the Most High, wherein the heaven with being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. Nevertheless, we look according to the promise, look for new heavens and a new earth wherein dwelleth righteousness. All right, so it literally tells, the scripture literally tell you what spirit you should be in, knowing the times. If we know we're in the times of war, let alone the last war, right? The war that's going to end all wars, right? All this is according to prophecy, right? How should you be moving? Okay, let me make sure I get my relationship right with the Lord. Let me make sure I'm doing what I need to do, fearing Yahweh B'Shem Shah to the best of my ability, right? Doing this, literally getting as much faith, wisdom, and knowledge and understanding that you can before that day, and pray that the Lord be with you and through all of that, right? Because ultimately, the only way we're gonna make it out is through Yahweh B'Shem Shah, not of ourselves, right? And with understanding that how you should be moving, as I read in verse 11, right? How should you be moving? With a sense of urgency. Not only move with a sense of urgency, but also hasten to come in the Lord. Now, am I saying you should be just in your house all day, just reading 24/7? No, but yeah, you should be reading, right? You should. If you've been gifted to make lessons, you should be making lessons, right? You should be tuning into the videos. That really goes without saying. If you ain't watching videos, I don't know what the hell you doing, right? Hey, watching the news, And hey, I'm saying these things. These are things that I can work on myself. I'm not exempt, right? I could watch the news more, right? I could tune into videos more. These are things that I could do for myself as well, right? So I'm not just talking to y'all. I'm not exempt, right? I'm trying to work out my salvation too with fear and trembling. But yeah, man, understand what times we're living in. We are living in the times of war, and with that being said, you have to be moving in a warlike mindset, not a time of peace. Now, does that mean you can't go get you a woman or whatever? No, that doesn't mean that. But just moving wisdom, moving knowing what's to come, right? That's all. That's all we're saying. Move with knowing what's to come. You go get your woman, cool. But don't be sitting here trying to make her your everything, and then doing all this and just to make her happy. No, fuck all that, man. We're coming to times to where that woman that you probably just got or that you already have is going to leave your ass. Right? More than likely, because guess what? Women don't really believe. More women is going to die than men. So now, for the brothers that do have, women and stuff, of course, we hope that, that they will do well with you. But we're in the mindset of like, bro, more than likely they're not. As Elder Kazak says, man, expect the worst, but hope for the best. Right? You're supposed to be expecting the worst. We in hell. Right, but hoping for the best, hope that your woman, stick by you in that day. But you should be in your mind like, yeah, she more than likely, like she's doing all this now, but we ain't in the family finna starve or anything. I don't know what exactly she's finna do. For all I know, she can just up and leave. When you move with that mindset, it's gonna help you move. Now, with that mindset, doesn't mean you just treat her just any kind of old way. No, you still be a husband onto doing your duties as a husband. But that's just woman. It goes the same thing for jobs. So when you working a job, there's nothing wrong with working towards to better yourself. But you're not just putting your all into it, you know? But yeah, anyways, Lord willing, y'all was edified. I made it all by saying Kal Halal, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. And until next time I say, Shalom, Yisrael.